Welcome back to SR Books Insights. This is part 2 of our deep dive into Oren Klaff's Flip the Script. In part 1, we uncovered why persuasion is broken, how to flip the buyer's frame, and how to plant undeniable truths so the other side convinces themselves. Now in part 2, we'll go even deeper into certainty, empathy, narrative control, and the subtle signals that flip power in your favor. By the end of this session, you'll not only understand persuasion differently, you'll see conversations differently. And remember, if you haven't yet, subscribe to SR Books Insights so you don't miss part 3, where we'll wrap it all together with case studies, leadership lessons, and life applications. Here's the hidden truth in every deal. The buyer isn't looking for the best idea. They're looking for the idea that feels most certain. If they feel certainty, they move. If they don't, they stall. Oren shares a deal where the product was solid, but the investors weren't budging. The slides didn't matter. The logic didn't land. What unlocked the deal was when Oren paused and said, "Forget the projections. Look at these 3 companies already using this product. Here's their data. Here's their growth. Here's what happened after they switched." The room shifted. Why? Because it wasn't about possibility anymore. It was about certainty. Exercise. Think about your own work. Can you tell a story that proves certainty? Not, "We think this will work," but "This has worked. Here's the proof." That's how you turn an idea into inevitability. Empathy isn't about nodding and saying, "I understand." Tactical empathy is about showing you see the hidden risk and pressure the buyer feels. For example, a CEO may be excited about your idea, but worried about losing face with the board. A CFO may fear the numbers, not because of the math, but because if it fails, they are the one fired. When you acknowledge that, even gently, you remove resistance. Oren once pitched a deal to a CFO. Instead of focusing only on ROI, he said, "I get that if this backfires, it's your head on the chopping block. That's why we designed safeguards, so if it goes wrong, you can show you acted responsibly." That line melted the tension. Because the CFO didn't just hear numbers, he felt understood. Action tip. Next time you pitch, ask yourself, what's the unspoken fear in this room? Name it before they do. Every conversation is a story. Either you're telling it or the buyer is. Most people lose control because they answer every question immediately. Investors say, "What's your revenue? What's your churn?" And the presenter dances. But when you let the buyer control the story, you lose. Oren's method is simple. Acknowledge the question, then reframe. "That's a great question. Let me lay out the big picture first, and then that number will make sense." Suddenly, you're back in control. Imagine you're presenting your startup. Investor interrupts. "How big is your market share?" Old way. Right now we have about 3%, but we project." Flip the script way. "That's an important question. Let me show you how this market is structured first. Then you'll see where we stand." Notice the difference? One is defensive. The other is guiding. Deals need tension. Without it, the buyer stays comfortable, and comfortable people don't act. But not all tension is bad. There's destructive tension, like arguing, and productive tension, like showing the cost of inaction. Oren once pitched a technology that reduced energy waste. Instead of saying, "This saves money," he said, "Every month you wait to upgrade, you're burning $50,000 in energy losses. That's $500,000 a year. It's like writing a check and setting it on fire every 30 days. The room went quiet. That tension made the investors lean forward. Exercise. In your pitch, Where can you introduce productive tension? What's the cost of waiting? Paint it vividly. If these insights are hitting home, take a second now to subscribe to SR Books Insights. We bring you the world's most powerful ideas from the world's most powerful books. Not just summaries, but actionable lessons, stories, and strategies you can apply right away. Hit subscribe now and be ready for part 3 of Flip the Script. Status isn't declared, it's signaled. Oren teaches that high-status communicators don't overtalk, don't over-explain, and don't beg. They project calm confidence through small cues, pausing before answering, saying, "I'm not sure if this is the right fit," declining politely when asked to break their process. These micro-signals tell the buyer, "I have options. I'm scarce. You need to qualify for me." In one deal, an investor pushed Oren to email over his deck before the meeting. Oren replied, "I don't send decks ahead of time." If that doesn't work, no worries. The investor insisted he come in anyway. Why? Because the signal was, "I don't chase." That flipped the power. One of the bravest things you can say in a pitch is, "I don't know." It shocks people because most presenters scramble to have every answer. But admitting uncertainty in the right moment builds trust. Example, investor asks, "What happens if the market crashes in 3 years?" Oren, "I don't know." No one does. But here's how we've built safeguards to protect ourselves if it does. That honesty is disarming, because certainty about the known and humility about the unknown is credible. Flash rolls are Oren's signature mic drop technique. You deliver a burst of technical knowledge, fast, to prove mastery. You don't explain it all, you just flash it and move on. Story. Pitching cybersecurity, Oren once dropped. Our system intercepts at the packet layer, reroutes through a reverse proxy, applies AI anomaly detection, and executes rollback in under 2 milliseconds. The room went silent. The investors weren't experts, but they knew one thing. This guy knows his stuff. Exercise. Think of your own field. Can you create a 20 to 30-second flash roll, something only an expert could say, and drop it with confidence? Instead of waiting for objections, Oren teaches to pre-frame them. If you know people worry about risk, you bring it up first. You might be wondering if this is risky. Here's why it isn't. This disarms the objection before it can grow. A founder once used Oren's advice. Instead of waiting for investors to ask about his lack of track record, he opened with, "Some of you may worry we're a new team." Here's why that's an advantage. We're not stuck in old ways. We move faster, and here's proof. The objection never even surfaced. Instead of jumping for the big yes, stack small yeses. Get agreement step by step. Do you agree this market is growing? Do you agree costs are rising? Do you agree businesses must adapt? By the time you ask for the deal, the buyer has already said yes to the logic. The final yes feels inevitable. Let's try a role play together. Old way pitch. Here's our product. It saves money. We're asking for $2 million investment. Flip the script pitch. Energy costs are rising 15% per year. Most systems waste 30%. Companies that upgrade cut costs in half. 3 have already done it. Here's their data. The question is, does it make sense for you to capture those savings now or keep losing them month after month? Do you feel the difference? One is pushing, the other is guiding. So in part 2 of Flip the Script, we've explored why certainty is the real currency of persuasion, how tactical empathy builds trust, how to control the narrative and create productive tension, the subtle status signals that flip power in your favor, and how to use flash rolls, pre-framing, and small wins to lead buyers to convince themselves. But we're not done. In part 3, we'll bring all of this together. You'll hear case studies from Oren's biggest deals, learn how to apply these strategies beyond business, in partnerships, leadership, even personal life, and discover how to leave every conversation with people saying, "This was my idea all along." So don't miss it. Continue with part 3 of this audiobook insight on Flip the Script by Oren Klaff, narrated by SR Books Insights. This is more than mindset. It's a mission. Keep seeking, keep growing, keep giving, and together, let's make the world rich again.